Thank you so much. It's really great to see so many of you here today. And while this is the first installment of this academic year, this is the 13th installment of our President's Lecture Series that's centered on issues that not only deal with equity and diversity and inclusion, but more importantly, really hit home on areas that really matter tremendously for our students as well as our respective communities. So today's panel, which I'm very excited about, An Entrepreneur's Journey, Conversations with Alumni Entrepreneurs, will feature three of our experts who will highlight their personal experiences, their journeys, if you will, into entrepreneurship, including their transition from professional life to entrepreneurship, lessons learned, challenges addressed along the way, and the importance of community impact. For those of you who may have attended yesterday's State of the University address, you may have heard me mention just how absolutely important it is for our alumni to be engaged with us, but that also the opportunity for them to reach back and share their experiences with you as students, because I know that I've met quite a few of aspiring entrepreneurs right in our midst now, but that more importantly, really understanding that it's not just about the material or the wealth gain. It really is about the impact being made on the community. And I know that that's what you're going to learn today from our three guests that are here. So I'm often in awe at the public presence of our alumni, and I know that you're going to feel the same after you hear from our alumni here today. The remarkable talent that they offer, not only to their communities, but frankly to the city of Houston. As I said on yesterday, we really do need our alumni. Their expertise is important to informing our work. Their career success is a testament of our university, and their business and community connections help to establish reciprocal partnerships that impact you as students and certainly make us absolutely proud here at the University of Houston downtown. So I'm not going to introduce the three stars for the day. I know that we're going to leave that in the hands of our esteemed moderator. I think that you've already introduced her. Or am I introducing her? You're introducing her. All right. So for those of you who don't know Dr. Tenbrink, you're going to learn quite a Dr. Tenbrink. You're going to learn more very shortly. But I just want to personally say thank you so much again, Dr. Tenbrink. This is not your first rodeo with us, and I really appreciate your leading this conversation today.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Blanchard. It's my honor now to introduce our moderator for today. She's no stranger to our UHD family. She's done this before, and she's awesome, as you saw during the pre-game show. But Dr. Candace M. Tenbrink is an assistant professor of management at UHD's Maryland Davies College of Business. Her teaching emphasizes a blend of experiential learning with traditional hybrid models. She has led several teaching circles that focus on increasing student learning. Her research interests include the strategic aspects of turnarounds, life cycle issues, and entrepreneurship. She will be teaching entrepreneurship. I think you continue to teach entrepreneurship. And she's also led groups to Slovenia and Austria. And was there another country just recently?
Namibia and South Africa.
Yes, so awesome stuff from our wonderful faculty members. So prior to ending academia, she was a founder and managing partner of a film production company, which we learned about a little while ago in New York. Her background also includes supply chain management and investment banking in the semiconductor equipment industry. So Dr. Tenbrink, I'm passing the floor to you, and I'm also going to ask my esteemed, panelists to kind of come up, and I'll help you all up on stage so we can take our seats, and we'll start the show.
I was afraid I'd trip, so I snuck up here earlier. Thank you, Dr. Blanchard, and thank you, Jay. It is a pleasure to be the moderator and to shine the light on these wonderful entrepreneurs. So with no further ado, we will turn the spotlight on you all. So what I'd like each of you to do is introduce yourself. We have two CEOs and co-founders up here, Gabriella and Monica, and then a Chief Marketing Officer, Darian. And they are going to do a brief introduction, and then we'll start with the hard stuff.
Sure. Gabriella Smith, co-founder and CEO of Big State Construction and a proud alumni of UHD MBA class of 2018.
Hello, I'm Monica Lewis. I'm the owner of the Monica Lewis School of Etiquette as well as Lewis T & Co. And I have my wonderful husband.
I'm Darian Lewis. I'm the co-founder of the Monica Lewis School of Etiquette and Lewis T & Co. She's the Monica, I'm the Lewis, and together we're a partnership.
Yes.
That's extending the bounds of partnership.
Right?
And I have a PhD, so I can say that.
You can.
Okay. Could you give us your elevator pitch to talk a little bit about what your firm does? Take a minute or two.
Yeah, totally. So, good question. Like, why construction for me, right? So I was able to manage to implement all my past learnings from insurance, people relations, human kindness, being, in the community, helping people. And that's how Big State Construction started. So after being in business in 6 years, I was able to find a niche, and I actually cater to the community that is 55 and plus. And I do residential remodels for them. And I also work with business owners who need interior remodels for their commercial spaces. So.
Great. Thank you so much, Gabriella.
Well, pretty much what we do, we teach people how to behave. Okay. So that's children, teens, and adults. But in addition, the formal part of it.
So in addition to that, we teach people how to get along, how to connect, how to communicate, how to elevate and polish themselves in personal and private spaces.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a second company, and it's called Lewis T & Co. It's a loose leaf tea company where we help people convert their misgivings and misconceptions about tea. And we often convert them into tea drinkers. We often say that they'll fall in love with our leaves one cup at a time.
That's amazing. Thank you for that. Thank you to all three of you. So what led you to decide to become an entrepreneur? Was there a tipping point? Was it a dream?
For me, I started the etiquette school about 15 years ago. And actually, I've never planned to even have an etiquette school. Didn't even think there was any such thing. So on a Sunday night, I'm watching Atlanta Housewives, which was a little ratchet TV, and eating a slice of Papa John's pizza. And I heard this voice, because before then, I was working at a, can I say the name?
Yeah,
okay, AIG. American General on the stock market desk doing securities, auditing, and all of that, right? And so been there 17 years before I resigned to do my business full time. But before I started the business, literally, I'm eating a slice of Papa John's pizza, watching them do their thing on a Sunday night. And I heard this voice says, Charm School. And it was so loud and clear until I grabbed my laptop out of the room and I told my husband, I said, I'm supposed to have a charm school. He said, no, they need charm school, so he was like, okay. And I said, no, for real. I know this is it. And so literally I called in 3 days of work and find out how do I become a certified etiquette consultant, all of that. And by the end of that journey, they say it takes about a year. I say it takes me 8 months. And 8 months later, I had my certification. Now I'm proud to say that our etiquette school is in over 400 schools, as well as traveling the world doing what we do. And so that's how it all came about. Never desired, never planned it. But literally growing up in school, I always won manners award. Or, someone would say, oh, you act like someone's grandma, and so it definitely lined up with what I'm doing now.
Could I just insert, was that divine intervention or were you reading tea leaves?
No, that was divine intervention, literally.
Thank you for that story. That is amazing. So, Darian, are you going to, because I know it's kind of a 2-for-1 package.
Yes,
so
it is.
Do you want to, do you also have inspiration?
Mine is so less dramatic than that. It is like, really, I don't even know how to follow up with that. So, Fast forward years later, I'm like you've already said, I'm a proud graduate of UHD, and I had enjoyed a wonderful, successful career in corporate America, working my way up through marketing and communications. And by that time, when she heard that voice, I was well on my way. I was fully engaged in my career plan. You know, I was following everything to the T. I had just made it to my dream middle management career, and I was on it, right? We had the house, we had the BMW, we had the kids. We were good. We were perfect. And she said she wants to leave her good paying job. And I said, you must be crazy. And for almost 4.5 years, that's how I looked at her, like she was a complete alien. So no, I was not a willing partner at that point. And it took years for me to kind of come around and realize, wait a minute, she's making money. She's making good money. She has good contacts. This could be something. So, I started to help her out. Hey, let me drive you. Can I help you with your bags? Can I help? And so eventually I started to tag along, and I went from just being the Christmas tree, the guy that stood in the corner and looked pretty, and to eventually helping out and assisting. And lo and behold, about 6 years in, I found myself sitting in her etiquette certification course, fully engaged, taking the course, becoming certified. And once I did that, I became all in. I came to her one night and I said, okay, so for every time I looked at you and rolled my eyes, and every time I knew that I could help you and did not, for every time you asked me for marketing advice and I just kind of ignored you, I'm sorry. I'm 10 toes in. Let's do this. And from that day forward, our company moved, and we moved in the direction of partnership. And so even today, we make decisions together. We make money together. We make business decisions together. And so that's what we do.
Thank you for sharing that. That's great. And
Well,
Gabriella.
That's
I
amazing,
told
by
you.
the way. My motto has always been nothing that I do alone.
Yes.
And my partner in that has been my husband, who just walked in, by the way. So he's the other co-founder of Big State Construction, although I jokingly say he knows nothing about construction. He is the business mind, my backbone to what I do. So entrepreneurship, I think we all have a story, or we had somebody who told you, hey, you might be good at something, or hey, you have skills of this. And that person to me was always my grandmother. So I always kept that in my mind. My grandmother was a mother of 5, had multiple businesses. She owned real estate, car wash. She sold food. She owned an auto parts company.
Wow.
This is all in Honduras, by the way. That's where I'm from. I moved here when I was 10 years old. My original destination was New York City. And at age 21 is when I moved to Houston. So I kept that in the back of my mind. Life will have it, right? You got to pay bills. You got to go to school. You have a family to support. So I didn't get to do any of that, school that is as well, until in my mid-20s. So I had an associate's degree from National Community College. I'm a proud Houston representative of school. I have an undergrad on public relations out of University of Houston. And then I did my MBA here in College of Business. But again, that spirit of business was always in me. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but my husband will always say, well, you can do something. You can, your people skills, you're going to figure it out. So 2017 is when I started my MBA program, and I happened to find out that I was also pregnant with my first son. And I realized that things needed to change based on what I was doing for work. And because in my mind, I was going to be a stay-at-home mom, which no, I didn't want to do that post having my child. I wanted to be able to provide, and that's what I'm doing. So Hurricane Harvey happened in August 2017. So that's coming up years ago. My business started September of 2017 for the whole sole reason that, one, I needed to help my community. That's what I wanted to do. I needed to help my community. I knew insurance background, so I felt that was going to help me. I knew some business. I was going to school for business. And I have my husband who supported me, and he said, okay, if this is what you want to do, then let's start the company. So that's where I'm at. That's how my business started, with the idea of helping the Houston community.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So, what has been the hardest part of being your own boss? What roadblocks have been thrown your way?
Hardest part about being your own boss is there's no guaranteed income.
Correct.
You have to hunt for what you eat. That is a daily, a reoccurring thing, you know? So when you work for someone else, that's their responsibility to make sure that they make sure that you're paid for your services rendered. When you're an entrepreneur, you have to make sure that you are actively filling that funnel, actively promoting your business, actively looking for the next person that you can serve so that you can maintain, you know, your financial obligations that you have. That's going to be one of those your biggest blessing and your biggest challenge.
I think it's being able to manage your time, right? I think it's following, like you said, it's like funding yourself. You're really hunting. You're really wanting to pay bills. You're wanting to provide. You have to play many roles at the beginning, right? Like you have to be an accountant. You have to be a salesperson. You have to be customer service. You have to be, you know, use the hammer. I mean,
Right. Get it done.
And it's being able to be flexible. That I think that's the hardest. Being able to be flexible with your time, being able to understand that not every time is going to be a win. Like, you know, if you're an entrepreneur, you know that you're going to have to fail many times in order to be successful at something else. That's what I think.
Wonderful. How has it been leading a minority or woman-owned business? Have you faced challenges that you hadn't expected? What are the ups and downs of that experience?
In my case, because I am in construction, right? So nobody assumes that I am the owner of the company.
Wait, I did. Like, I looked at
it's overcoming that barrier of labels that people put on you. It's overcoming your own doubts, self-doubts. We all have that. It's overcoming the day-to-day challenges, right? But being a minority, like I will tell you, I joke, but I say this: my husband is my secret weapon. So whenever I go into a property or a site that I need to inspect or walk, if I need him, then I'll bring him in. But he's barely there because people have learned, right, that my presence is the person that's walking in.
Thank you.
As for me, not being the typical face to be in the etiquette industry.
That's true.
And starting this business 15, 16 years ago, there was not a lot of people who looked like me, right? And going into an arena, knowing, number one, that you have been called to do what you do, right? But at the same time, having to convince others that you are qualified. And it took time for me. It didn't take that much time, but it took time for me to deal with the insecurities. And the main insecurity was, how do you go into a market that was not almost designed for you? Coming from a background of growing up poor, with 8 brothers and sisters in a 3-bedroom house, 1 bathroom. And yet, you are leading an etiquette school. And so being a minority, a female, and not an acceptable industry for our community, that was the challenging piece. So what I did was, I joined a networking group that no one looked like me. So it forced me to deal with the insecurities. It forced me to deal with what's going to be in the back of my head, because whatever in the back of your head reserves space. And it reserves so much space, you may not be able to move forward to the next thing. And so with that in mind, it allowed me to deal with that and create a table and create a space for people like myself and others. And so I will tell anyone and everyone, whatever that desire, that passion, or that thing that you know that you're supposed to be doing, you're going to have to do a lot of self-talk. But if you know you have been purposed to do it, that's all you need.
Thank you. Darren.
I mean, how can I follow these two amazing examples? For me, overcoming the misconceptions that sometimes are there for those of us who find ourselves working for women can be quite a challenge for others. When we're in a space, we've had this situation where they may try to address me, but she's the boss. And I'm like, nope, this is the Monica of the Monica Lewis School of Etiquette. So you will direct your questions to her, and helping them to understand that just because I am in that industry, we don't have any misconceptions in our dynamic as husband and wife. Who we are as husband and wife has to take a back seat to what we do for our career in our company. So that was one of the big things that I have to help other people overcome. For me personally, one of my biggest challenges was just making sure that my family understood that we weren't absolutely bonkers for walking away from our jobs and all that good money that they, quote unquote, invested in our education. No, we're actually applying it. So, Mom, if you're watching this, look where I am today.
So we have a couple people that just came in, and I would like to invite you personally to sit in the front row, if you would like to.
There's no more here too.
We want you to be
Come on
comfortable. Oh, one just left. So sorry, I scared him away. And by the way, one of my ex-students just snuck in. Get up here. See, that's what happens when you're an alumni. You're always an alumni.
Exactly.
Spot you and call you out.
Exactly.
Hi. This is great. She's also an entrepreneur, actually. There you go.
Hi.
So welcome, Camilla. Okay, how do you face adversity? And what advice would you give to, remember the pre-show? We had a lot of people here that strive to be entrepreneurs. What advice would you give them when the going gets rough?
So go for it.
I was going to say, so my business started in adversity. I want you to know that Hurricane Harvey was a challenge, right? For the whole city of Houston. People, you're dealing with people's emotions, you're dealing with people's finances, you're dealing with people's homes. So that was already an adversity. So being able to maintain cool, calm, and collected, even when you were like, oh, there's no supply. Oh, wait, there's nobody available to come do the job, or, just calming that person, for me was dealing with adversity. And then I have to think about, we had the freeze, right? So we also had to deal with that. And then we had COVID. COVID for me was the year that I was like, either I turn in the keys or I keep going. And I had to pivot, right? I had to pivot. So COVID year for me was getting back to education. So anything construction, anything finances, any resources that I was going to look for, that I was going to need, is when I managed my adversity that year. So I was able to partner up with either nonprofits that provide financial resources. And I was also building relationships with a lot of banks here in Houston, because I knew that need was going to come. But educating myself, right? Turner Construction, Lift Fund provided a cohort that focuses on minorities in construction. So, and anything that I needed to educate myself on is what I was embedding myself that year. And then I knew then that I was like, okay, no, I can keep going. I can keep pushing. And then the freeze happened 2021. So it worked out where I was able to secure finances in line, have something in hand, and I had some more education for myself to be part of that. So adversity for me in the business is pivoting. I think that's the word that I would like to use. Pivoting to, if this is not working, then switch it up.
Right.
if I might just step in for a minute,
Sure.
I was blessed enough, going with the theme here of this inspirational panel,
Yeah.
to be able to engage in research in Poland through a U.S. Fulbright, thanks to some of these lovely people here that supported that. And the thing that I came up with the most is that CEOs, here's the point, that were successful knew how to pivot.
Yeah.
Because it's very rarely is it A, B, C, D. We know everything. So being able to admit that you need to pivot and having the confidence and skill
Yep.
to jump out of that airplane and do it. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Embrace adversity. I've learned that when there's adversity, there's a change about to happen in your business that you never thought of, that you will be doing. And so for one, when COVID happened for us, before then, our program was in 400 plus schools, physical schools. So we never had a virtual option. So because of COVID, it was like either you create something or you're going to wait till this thing is over to get a paycheck. And so when we realized in order for us to continue teaching, let's create a virtual platform. You have to always be teachable and open to newness, right? And go with what's happening. And with that, we started the virtual program. And a lot of times I feel like as entrepreneurs or even starting, you think you got to have or know what the final is going to be or have everything together before you move on. No, you figure it out as you go. Right? And so being able to be pivot as well as flexible, but then also embrace whatever that challenge is happening, because I guarantee you, once you come out of it, you will be better. But it's all about how do you go into it. Your mindset has to be, it gotta work. I didn't come this far to lose. So everything has to work out, especially if I'm putting the work in.
Correct. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So adversity. I mean, you keep putting me last. I mean, it's hard.
Okay, you're first next time.
Oh, goodness.
And
all
you're
right.
going to have to stand up.
Okay, I can do it. I can do it. All right. So adversity. I mean, you expect it. Number one, like they both said, pivot. You have to embrace it. But the last thing that you must do when you find yourself in a situation, don't be afraid to ask for help. Someone else has already slayed the beast, climbed the mountain.
Yep.
Someone else has already been through it. Why waste your time fighting and climbing when there's already a template? Find that template. Don't be afraid because you may feel like you're the only person in that particular market or that niche. That's fine. But the adversity that you're facing could be something that's not unique to you. It could be something based on funding. Find someone who's mastered micro lenders or looked at different banks. If it's a situation where you can't find the right clients, find people who have diverse networking groups and organizations that you can join for free. Don't just put yourself in a situation where you allow your circumstance to completely take you under or overtake you. Stop. Ask for the help that you need. And that is one of the things that'll help you. So once you pivot, once you've embraced it, and then you've asked for help, I think you'll have a formula that'll help you ride the wave until you can find your footing again.
Thank you. I'd like to also encourage the audience here and in Zoom land, to also reach out to faculty, favorite faculty, unfavorite faculty. A lot of faculty are really willing to go the extra mile, and they will go the extra mile for the rest of their lives because this is sort of we love doing what we do, otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Absolutely.
So absolutely reach out to faculty and ask them for help and questions. And if they can't help you,
They can point you in the
put
right
it all in
direction.
that big pot.
Yeah.
Right.
And something that I said early on is, and my favorite quote is, "Nothing that I do alone." And I stand by that. I am in business because I have had the help of many people get me here.
Yes.
Whether it was just a listening ear, whether it was like, "Hey, I need you to come actually help me paint walls," or somebody that just, financial resources or the networking opportunity. I think that's great. But nothing you do alone. So as long as you keep that in mind, not get stuck in the idea that, oh, this situation is unique to me. It's not. It's probably somebody else already did it, and you just need to ask.
Right.
I like that. And you can celebrate together and cry together.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Right.
cry alone.
Correct.
That's right.
All right. Darian,
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Who has been your biggest role model?
I've had many. I have many, I should say. Many role models. I guess the biggest that I would say would be, and I'll say this, okay. My biggest role model would be a man that has been a constant in my life. He's not my father, but he is a huge fatherly role model for me. His name is Leroy Woodard. He is not only, he's my pastor, number one, but he's more like that uncle, that advisor, that father figure, that person that you can go to whenever you need. Because I look at him as kind of like the trendsetter. He's already had a measure of success. He's already established businesses, closed businesses, opened new businesses, and invested in other people. I look at that as a template. Another big influence is someone that I don't know, and it happens to be Stedman Graham. Do y'all know who Stedman Graham is? Y'all know? Okay, so he's Oprah's boo, right? Because this is my Oprah, right? And so I've learned just by watching the way that he moves through life. He's always there for her, but he's not there for you. And I've learned that it's important for me to be that kind of person sometimes. Sometimes it's okay for me not to be the star of the show. It's okay for me to be the one that takes a backseat so that she has her opportunity to do what she needs to do, and be absolutely okay with it, So no, I don't have to battle you on social media. I don't have to give you the side eye. So fellas, if y'all shake her hand today, I'm not studying y'all. That's an old school word. I'm not worried about y'all because she's coming home with me, right? And you have to get comfortable and be that way. And I've been watching him for years. I like his work. I like the way he moves through life. So those are my two primary influences.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Who would like to go second?
I would say my mom. Both my mom and dad, but my dad always been the sole provider. My mom was the one that stayed at home with all 8 children, and still had 3 meals cooked, still had the house clean, still had a hair salon business, and still had us all disciplined. And to be able to see her navigate, because we have 5, and I was just like, oh my goodness, how did you do it with 8? But to see how driven she was, because her number one priority was to make sure that her children become successful and she provide the tools they need. And that is what she did. So there was many nights that she stayed up when trying to figure out what to do next, how to get more income in while my dad was at work, or even dealing with us at school, getting the phone calls, not from me, but my other brothers and sisters, and yet have to get up every morning and fix a big breakfast, And so I would say her because she is she never gives up, period. Because just like my grandmother, she's 78. She just stopped working, And so it just something that passed down through her family. And then she instilled it in us. So
Culture. Thank you.
Yeah. I mentioned her to you all before. It's my grandmother. My grandmother, she passed away when she was 76, 17 years ago. But she was the business mind. She was the humankind person. She was the one that always said, hey, you can help others, right? She instilled that in spirit in me to be able to help others. One of her biggest thing was help yourself first, and then you can help others. And I think that's very important, that I took away from her. Again, my grandmother was a business owner. She was a mother of 5. She had 30 grandkids, and she loved all 30 equally. Wow. She gave, she took, but just instilling that she was my biggest, still my role model.
Thank you. I'm just going to share a minute. I felt really good about having one kid and launching her. My hat is off to all multiple kids. It's a little late to reset that bar, but wow. All right, I guess I have low standards for myself. I noticed 3 people came in here, and we saved 3 seats for you in the front row if you would like to sit down. I just wanted to let you feel comfortable and enjoy. Okay. What business and community resources have helped you achieve success? What has helped you get to where you are, kept you going? And I think this time we will start with Monica.
Well, since he's my chief financial officer.
Let's see. So strategic partnerships really matter. When you're first starting out, I'll just be real. It's going to be difficult for you to go after them at first. So you're going to have to do your work, prove your worth, know your numbers. That's going to be one of those big things. You're going to need to know things like, your revenue, your demographics. You need to know your business model. You need to have a business plan. All of those things aside, one of the biggest partnerships that we were able to establish was through PayPal. Because of the nature of our business, we were able to partner with them through a fund that they had called Rise. And it was a grant that we were able to secure, and that allowed us to diversify our product lines. And so you're saying, well, wait, you teach etiquette. I mean, what's the diversity in that? Well, think about it in this terms. We work with children. That's one that's one segment of our business. We work with teens. That's a separate segment. We work with adults, and then we work with corporations. And all of them have various needs that need to be met in different ways. So we were able to align products and offerings and tools and methods of delivering content to them using that grant. Another opportunity that we had was through Harris County Department of Education. That was an extremely valuable resource, because what that did is that made us more viable to a certain segment of our business, our education and school systems. It taught us how to build lesson plans. It taught us how to properly align ourselves so that we could show how our programming aligned with the TEKS, which once we got that down, that was an opportunity for us to even, enlarge our footprint and go into, like my wife said, we have programming in over 400 plus schools. We wouldn't have been able to do that had we not, taken that opportunity. And by the way, that opportunity was actually one that we almost passed up on, because we had fallen into this false fallacy that everything that you do has to be a big contract. It has to make you money. Some things that you will need to do, you're going to have to look beyond the dollars and cents and look at the value that it's going to bring you in the long run. Taking that opportunity and that partnership and that strategic alignment sometimes won't net you any profit. It's going to be the lessons that you learn, the opportunities that are afforded to you, the connections that you're able to make, which will set you up for greater. So those two are our biggest even today. And we learned how to nurture those relationships. So once that bridge is built, maintain it. Don't burn it. That's an old adage about burning that bridge. No. You keep in contact with those people. You make sure you follow up. When you grow, they grow. You talk about them as I'm doing today. You're talking about the value that they bring to your business. You talk about how vital they are to your business. And so they feel the value and they understand their placement in your success.
Relationships. That's very important. So in my 20s, I used to work for an insurance company. And I was able to deal with a lot of claims that were processed then. So I was able to deal with a lot of contractors, general contractors and subcontractors. I kept my relationships, not knowing that I was going to be in construction, by the way. That just happened to be because I wanted to help the community, knowing with the skills that I knew I had. One was educating people when it came to insurance, and two, being able to call upon my relationships that I had built for over 20 years at the time and say, hey, you need work. I need somebody to help me help this homeowner or business owner. So that's, for me, relationships is one of the resources. Community relationships is network. Your existing class will be your future network. I can still call upon my 2018 class and they will still pick up the phone because it's nurturing those relationships for anything. Like I said, for business related, for finances, for help, for just a hearing sounding board, emotional, whatever you need. It's having that those are the resources that I can say. And of course, get involved in the community. I am very proponent and a big advocate of empowering women. So I have been able to be part of young women symposiums, leadership symposiums to help or either mentor girls that are in high school. So it's giving back to the community in that way and cultivating your relationships. I think that would be what I will call it, a resource that I have used.
Thank you. If you could, in one or two words, what kind of mindset do you need to be a successful entrepreneur?
Driven.
Yeah.
And self-motivated. If you self-motivated and driven, that will save you money from spending $10,000 to $15,000 for a coach that you would be excited about that week, but you still have to go home. So if you're not self-motivated, you would have just wasted your money for that week. Mm-hmm. And driven meaning that the drive has to start with you. How bad do you want it? And if you know how bad you want it, automatically you will lose sleep at night trying to find out what is the next thing and what I need to do.
I will say I have passion. Have passion. Be passionate about what you do. Not everything that you do is going to succeed. Let's but be passionate about it and know that if it didn't work out, you're gonna be able to continue doing it because you have that passion. I would say a self-starter, right? Give yourself time. We have 24 hours a day, but guess what? If you have to work at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, just so you make sure that you have a deadline, it's okay to do that.
Thank you.
Darren.
So I would say focus. You have to be focused on the goal. Whatever that goal that you set for yourself or the goal that you're trying to meet, be focused on it. And the last thing that I would say would be confidence. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to be confident as you're approaching, prospective clients or new opportunities. You're going to have to be confident. Do you know what confidence is? Do you really know what it is? Confidence. All right. So I'm going to teach y'all real quick because y'all looking a little confused. All right. Everybody sit straight and tall. Sit straight and tall. All right. I know you said 2 words, but I'm going to just teach you real quick. All right. Here we go. Confidence is a mental muscle. It starts with what you believe on the inside. And so it's that voice that speaks to you always that says you can't or you can. So you have to retrain that voice. All right. So do this with me. Say confidence is the belief that I can do it. No, you got to show it though, because confidence is what you believe on the inside, but it shows up in your body language. Mm-hmm. When you start out your day, you have to sometimes reset. You may have had a failure the day before. You have to reset today, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to say this every morning when you first start out, and even sometimes when you're starting the day and you've been in this for a while. You have to do it like this. Confidence is what? Confidence is the belief that I can do it. I said you have to see it though, right? So do it with me. Do it with me. We're going to model this all together. Everybody, come on. Let's go. Confidence is what? The belief that I can do it. One more time. Confidence is what? The belief that I can do it. There you go. That's what you got.
On Monday, I'm teaching. Would you like to come in with me?
It would be my pleasure.
Wonderful. Thank you. So now we're going to go in reverse order. So we're going to start at the very end.
Go figure.
If you met your 20-year-old self, what advice would you give yourself?
Okay. So my 20-year-old self was a student here, and I was a student when this was literally the one main building. That was the address and the description. So I would tell myself, number one, go to class. Dr. Strain is not to be played with. I think he's probably retired by now, but he was a beast. He taught quantitative decision making, I think was the last course I had to take from him. And I think I cried the entire semester. The second thing I would tell myself is to take the chance and bet on yourself. That confidence that I just talked to you about was something that I was struggling with at 20 because I was trying to live up to the expectations of my family and living up to the expectation of my friends. You know, you've graduated high school, maybe be the first person to graduate. So all of these, expectations for you to do all these wonderful things, and all you want to do is just be normal, right? And so I was very much carrying that perception, like I had to do everything right, and if I followed in the family business, I would, my life would be so awful right now. But I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to have that aha moment. So I would say to myself at 20, go to class, have confidence, and take the chance to go after the things that you really, really want.
I would say to my 20-year-old self would be embrace your insecurities. Don't run from it. Embrace it. One of my biggest insecurity, probably the main one, was if you can hear me speak, I have a lisp. So like an S almost in every word, right? And that was my biggest insecurities because of the fact that in school, my classmates would make fun of me. And so when I would read out loud, they would make a snake hissing noise, like, so I stopped reading. I could read very well, but I didn't want to go through the embarrassment and all of that. So I stopped talking out loud and all of that, right? Age 21. And of course, this happened in elementary, middle, and high school because you go to the school that you're zoned in. So they're going to follow you all the way up to high school doing the same childish things, right? I'm over it, but yeah, that's what happened. Because now they asking me for a job. But go ahead. 21, I am looking at TV. You know how the TV just be on and you really not looking. But I'm standing in my bedroom and the TV is on and this guy come on TV and his name is Michael Strahan. Have anybody ever heard of Michael Strahan, right? Michael Strahan, he was on, I can't remember what network he speak on.
Right now on ABC.
ABC.
Right now, yeah.
Michael Strahan has a gap and a lisp, but a multi-billionaire, author, speaker, everything. He was on TV. About 15 minutes later, this guy by the name of Bishop T.D. Jakes come on after him. He's a prominent evangelist, producer, writer, all of that, billionaire, also with a lisp and a gap. I only had one issue. It was the lisp. That is when I had my aha moment. And I was like, if they can be on TV and do all of this with two issues, and I have one, why am I not talking? Right? Immediately, I began to embrace, accept. Now, the classmates that made fun of me get a chance to watch me on every TV network from ABC, CBS, NBC, because I do a lot of TV segments. And they get the chance to watch me with my lisp because I never changed it, right? But then also I have a series in our corporate class. I have a lisp, so what? So whatever your insecurity is, you place it there, and now it's a so what? And so that's what I would have said to my 20-year-old self, my 19, 18, 17, because of the fact that I'll allow them to get into my head. But I was able to, in my adult life, address it and own it, because if I would have kept quiet, I wouldn't be here today doing what I'm doing. So.
Thank you.
I would say thank you to my 20-year-old self for listening to my gut feeling. So I told you I came from Honduras at 10 years old. My original destination was New York. And at 20, my parents got divorced. And my mother was like, hey, we're moving to Houston because, that's where my family's at and your dad's going to go somewhere else. Okay. At that point, I was enrolled in community college in New York. And in my mind, I was thinking to myself, I'm not moving to Houston. Like, this is not what I want. This is not, what's going to happen for me. Like, I have a whole life here. Like, I got so much to give, which I still do, by the way, have much to give. And I fought my mom so much on saying no, like, you know what? I'm going to go to Houston, because I knew that coming to Houston meant that I was not going to be able to go to school. I had to come pay a mortgage. Sorry.
Do you want a hug?
No. Thank you. I just knew that my road was going to be harder.
Mm-hmm.
Not impossible, but it was going to be harder. And that's what I would say to my 20-year-old self. Thank you for taking the chance on yourself and believing that something better was coming.
Wow.
So, like I said, 25, I went to a community college because I believed in education. That was like my biggest thing. In my 30s, I used to say I was in my 20s when I was at UH, I hung out with the crew. And being able to do my MBA was a reward. So to my 20-year-old self, I would say thank you for listening to your gut feeling.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you.
A few people teared up. You're in good company.
Thank you.
What is the one piece of advice you would give our audience today in terms of becoming an entrepreneur?
Learn. Educate yourself. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We all, if you're going through business school, you know that we all do a business plan. Well, I've done lots of business plans. But it's learning, and again, not being afraid of listening to being confident, right? It's that voice, like telling yourself, I can do this. I will do this. I can do it. I will do this.
Thank you.
Connecting with like-minded people.
Yeah.
In addition to having mentors or a mentor. Because if you're around like-minded people, you will inspire each other. And I really believe what you hang around is what you will become.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to become better, you hang with better, right? And then in addition to that, always find somebody who's doing much better than you. And be okay to ask them, are you willing to be my mentor? Now, when you do ask, you still got to put the work in.
That's right.
But you want to make sure you get someone that is successful. It doesn't have to be in the same line of business, because business is business. Challenges are challenges whether it's a different industry or not. But you want to make sure that you're connected with a mentor and people around you that are going places and are actively moving, not just having a wish and a desire.
Yep.
That's actively moving.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Very good. I would say celebrate the small wins, because as you start this journey, there's going to be a lot of ebbs and flows, ups and downs. Celebrate your victories as they come, and remember how you got there, so that when you're in that season where it seems like there's a little downturn, you can go, wait a minute, well, no, I've already done this before. Okay, so let me go back to see what did I do then and replicate or duplicate that level of success. And when you find yourself being able to celebrate those success, it helps to lessen the impact of some of the blows that you get. Because as you go through this, like I said, no one is going to know your business as intimately as you do. And you're going to wear that business. It's like a child. It's like your prized possession, and you're going to embrace it. You're going to fall in love with it, and you're going to want everybody to fall in love with it. So you want to make sure that you always hold it in the highest regard. So celebrate the successes, and ask for help when you get to a point of challenge or conflict.
Before we engage in Q&A, this would not be a good forum with faculty up here without grading them.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, you
Well,
passed.
thank you. Thank you. Will you be adding that to my transcript?
Yeah.
'Cause I need-
Actually, I will.
Yeah, I need my
I will.
GPA to kind of come
I
up.
need your
Yeah.
student ID number.
I can do that. That's one of the other things I would like to go back and tell my 20-year-old self, get that GPA up.
The other thing is, I just have, I'm curious. So we are trying to launch a social entrepreneurship course.
Ooh.
And social entrepreneurship is, yes, you can still make a profit, but it's about helping entities that really need help. Some people might think of it as bottom of the pyramid.
Yeah.
So I am just curious. I have to go through the system, the process. How many of you would be interested in taking a course like that? I would. Quite a few of you. I don't see my boss raising his hand. You're going to take my class. Okay, he had 2 hands up. I'm going to give you a B because you were late. Okay, he's going to take it. Thank you for that. Thank you. We thought it was a great idea in management, and now I'm feeling like it really is a good idea.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they said it is, so it is. Okay, Q&A. Yes.
And we got a mic back here, so
Yes,
please come
sir.
by, and if y'all want to get in line, so we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you so much for coming. I have 2 questions, but I promise they're quick.
All right.
So first question is, I'll tell both questions. First question is, what are some of the unique challenges of being in business with a spouse or family, and benefits as well? And then the second question is, when do you know when you should pivot or kind of stay on the same track? When do you know when it's time to pivot?
All right. So first question, the challenge of being married is the fact that you have to learn how to leave the office conflict at work and the family conflict at home. Never bring the two together. So we could be, in the odds about, something at home. But when we cross the door to our office, oh, and by the way, that's the other piece of advice, have a separate office than your home once you can do that. Because it certainly helps to break it helps you to reset your mental expectations. But that's one of the biggest things that you will quickly learn. That's a question we get all the time. Like, how can y'all be together 24 hours a day? We're not together 24 hours a day. The second thing is you don't lose yourself. So, she has things that she likes to do that I'm not particularly interested in. And I have things that I like to do that she could care less about. And that's what makes it work. So when we do come together, we're like, oh, it's good to see you. It's good to see you too. And then, we're back on to the next thing. So that's that. What was the second question? How do you pivot? Oh, how do you know when to pivot?
Yeah.
When it's not working. Like when it's really not working. I mean, like, that it's not working. I know it's not working. Your friends have told you it's not working. Your bank account is saying it is not working. your Instagram is saying it's not working. No, seriously. Sometimes you just have to read the context clues and go, you know what? It's time to make the move. The industry is also going to be a good indication too, because, how many people still use a typewriter? Exactly. So no matter how much I desire to sell you a typewriter, is there real use for it? No. So the industry is also going to tell you when to make that pivot. And so because you are familiar with your business and because you know your numbers and you know your market and you have all that data, then you're able to kind of read that and marry that with the social, emotional things that are happening. And that's a good indication of when it's time to retire a particular product or offer a new type of service, all of those things. And you should always be evaluating your business, that SWOT analysis that we do. You should always be doing that on at least an annual basis, so that you can always stay agile and ready. So if you do need to make a quick turn, it's not going to be something that's so new to your organization that it crumbles as you're turning.
I will just add, keep your goal in mind, right? If what you're doing is not leading you to your goal, then you need to pivot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh man, I'm a little short. Okay. Everything's fine, right?
Yeah.
There was this idea. I do roofing sometimes, and there's always been this idea that some of the older people have told me that the customer is always right. and I want to start my own roofing business, but I'm not sure if that's the correct approach to the way that I want to do business. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the saying, the customer is always right? And do you agree with it, or do you have your own saying and your own philosophy in terms of that?
I do. I always make my customers believe that they're always right. Even though and I tell my staff and my team when we're interacting with customers, especially working with our tea company, where it's a quick serve model. Well, the thing about it is we make it easy for them to say yes, and we make it very difficult for ourselves to say no to whatever that request is. So in your case, if you're working on roofing, and the customer may be had a misconception about the type of material that was going to be used, then that's your job to make sure that you educate them on why this is the best option for them and help build a better value proposition. So it's the way in which you present the situation and the way you handle the situation that makes that customer believe that they were right and they got value in it. And even if they weren't right, you're not telling them, I don't agree with you. I don't think, you're telling them, well, hey, would you consider it this way? It's all about positioning it. That's one of the things actually I learned here through that. We had a personal sales course that we took. Dr. I think his name was Islam. I don't know if he's still here or not. He's probably long since retired.
No, he's here.
He's still here?
Yeah.
What?
Woo!
Wow. Yes. But it's all about the way in which you position that conversation. He spent a lot of time teaching us that, and I never thought I would use that ever. But I found myself using that so many times for myself in my own business. And even when I worked in corporate America, that's the thing. It's that communication. It's understanding the sales cycle, understanding communication and customer engagement.
I think it's like you. I customer is always right, but you have to educate them, right? You have to walk. Yes, it's roof, but guess what? You are the expert in roof. So you need to educate them and tell them why you're using XYZ products, right? Or why you're working with them. I interview all my clients, by the way, because you also want to know that you're working with somebody who values your work and that you value them, right? Because it's not just a roof. You're providing a service that is not just a roof. It's providing a value to them. So educating them and interviewing your clients.
Hi.
My name is Tamaru. I just wanted to ask, I follow a lot of millionaires, second language, my bad. But they say like the first million is the hardest to get. And then after that, it's going to be easy. But I find that I want to be like entrepreneur and I want to start my own business. But the starting point, like going back to my family, I don't have nobody like to do all that. We came from motherland. So everybody's just trying to survive in a survival mode. So if I want to go take that route, they say like the first one, the first part is the hardest, but what makes that part the hardest and how do you get through it?
The hardest is taking the step, what you're saying, right? You are saying you want to become that. So that's the hardest step to take, to be able to say, I want to do this. It's figuring out how you're going to get there, right? And I'm going to speak for myself, but I don't come from money, right? So it's about telling yourself, okay, well, instead of spending $20 on a coffee every week or whatever, those $20 are going somewhere else, savings or towards your business or education. So it's telling yourself you can do it, one, and two, you said surround yourself with others like-minded. So following them is great, but try to position yourself in places that they might be as well.
Right.
And in that, what happens after you get the first million?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't really focus on the millions or the million. I will focus on relationship, expanding your business, that one business. How do I build 5 streams of income around this business so that you just not laser focus on one thing? But it should also, in those 5 things, make sense. You can't say, okay, I'm going to start a roofing company, now I sell Avon. That don't make sense, right? but building 5 streams of income, but also building relationships, because who said the million had to come through all these customers?
Yep.
You can get someone who's been admiring you, not, could be a mentor, and say, hey, because I've seen your work, I want to give you this. A check that does cash. It will cash. It will go through. I'm speaking from experience.
Yeah.
Because that happened to me a few times. That people I didn't even realize was watching me. I didn't even know them. That provided a check because they've been watching me over the years. So that million doesn't mean have to come that first year. Relationships, building relationships, loving what you do, staying teachable, and how do I expand this business to bring in several different incomes? For example, we have an etiquette school. Yes, we focus with children, teens, and adults, but I'm an author. I have a children's book that teach what? Manners. Have other books that we co-author together that talks about etiquette. But in addition to, we have the loose leaf tea business, which we teach tea etiquette. Did that make sense to you? Until you'll forget counting.
Yep.
To get to the millions when you're working in what you have been called to do.
That's my answer. Oh yeah, I saw the Scantron.
And we've
studied.
got one more. We've got time for one more question because we got to wrap it up at 1.
All right.
Okay. So.
Hello,
Hello.
Gael Cruz. I wanted to ask you guys. I know you guys, y'all's businesses focuses on doing services for others. What about creating a product for my case? I want to create a product for the disability group. How would I go about that? In terms of finding a mentor, someone like that, does it still matter who I'm looking for, or because this is something I've been trying to do for a while, and it's something that hasn't been attempted. So I don't really have a template per se.
Okay.
I feel like.
Okay. So yes, it does matter because aligning yourself with organizations and groups that who's your ideal customer? That's what you would start with. The person that would use your product the most. Then find groups of those same people. Maybe it's the family support groups, or it may be a particular medical association, and become aligned with them, get involved with them. And then you can understand how they operate and what are their needs. And so then you can start backwards engineering. You can start building the process or building the engagement for your client to actually utilize your product or your service or whatever it is. But you definitely need to start having a prototype. You need to have a concept in place. You need to have a name in place. You should have those things and build those things as you're putting in the work to acquire the knowledge that you're going to need, because you're moving into a market where it's about reputation, relationship, and it's also going to be about reliability. So having experience and knowledge and having visibility in that particular space is going to be key to you.
And because you have like a specific niche, what I love about Houston, by the way, is the amount of resources that we have. Look up organizations, look up people. I'm pretty sure somebody is already trying to do something and they're looking someone like you to be able to execute it. So look up people, lots of resources here in Houston.
And you're in the best place for it. I mean, you're at a university.
Yes.
You have all of the university services at your disposal.
Yep.
And y'all have something that we didn't have. And that's these wonderful social media apps that, you can DM somebody and they're more apt to respond to you. I mean, it really does lessen that band of connectivity. So yeah, get to it,
Come
man.
see me.
See?
Yeah, there you go.
Definitely will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jay, if I could really quickly, President Blanchard, thank you for sponsoring this lovely series. Jay, thank you for letting me be a character with these people. Our guests, thank you for being successful Gators. And wonderful community activists and being successful and sharing your vision and dreams. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And then I also want to thank the audience
Yes.
because without the audience, it would just be us sitting up here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Candace. Thank you so much. So let's give another big round of applause to our panelists and to our moderator. They did such an amazing job. These conversations are wonderful, and I hope we continue to have, y'all keep raising the bar. So this is a wonderful event. One of the other things I just want to say, there was a fourth a speaker that could not make it. He had a schedule conflict, and an entrepreneur, and I mean, as an entrepreneur in his business, he's one deep in one area, and he told me, he was just honest with me. He said, I made a calendar mistake, and I have to go out of the country. So he sends his regrets. So hopefully we see Angel Cabrera, who's a very proud Gator, next time, we have another event like this. But again, thank you so much to our group. I will say we have one thing more I have one more thing to say, but Ms. Gabriela Smith up here is our Alumni Entrepreneur of the Year nominee.
Wow.
So on Tuesday, we'll find out if she's our actual, award winner. But congratulations again, Gabriela. And so again, what I'll tell the students: spread the word. Take advantage of this. These are the things outside of the classroom that you're hearing firsthand information. So that way you don't have to, again, be the pioneers in your family. You've got resources. I think the alumni connection, that was made earlier, the reference, you've got that connection already. So again, don't be shy. Please tell your fellow students, come out here, take advantage of this. Get a free lunch, but this is an opportunity to learn and to make some great connections. So again, thank you so much for being here. I know some of our students had to take off to class, but have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here. Have a good one. Bye-bye.